Hello, listeners of the Art Versations podcast.
My name is Hi. My name is Broadway Classic.
Let's hear it.
Welcome to the Art Versations podcast. If this is your first tune in, hello. Lovely to have you on board this growing community. I'm your host, Bri, like the cheese, and I created this podcast to combine two important aspects of my life, art and artists, with conversations. Put them together, you get Art Versations. If you clicked on the show many times before, hello again. Thank you for listening to my speech every week about what Art Versations means. Thank you for coming back, and honestly, thank you for making this year so special. This is the last episode of this very tough year, but I have to acknowledge this podcast has been a huge source of inspiration for me. I don't know what I would do without it. I hope it has provided you with the same motivation to continue to make art and consume art, and I look forward to making more podcasts in 2021. And I hope you will join me on that. I wish everyone out there a fresh new year that is filled with art and creativity in whatever form that is for you. I'm sure we're all ready to say, see you never, 2020. Onwards and upwards. So let's get to this week's episode, the final 2020 episode, with none other than Melanie Elysse Old. Mel is a dancer, choreographer, and all-around incredible artist who, in my humble opinion, has always been a memorable conversationalist. She spoke so honestly to me about her recent move to Regensburg, Germany, and all of the different ways she has engaged with art there. This episode was such a treat, and I really hope you enjoy. Without further ado, settle in, find yourself a warm cup of coffee maybe. Join us for an old-fashioned conversation over Zoom. Here is episode 13 of season 3.
I said, why are you doing this? This is so incredible. It's so nice. Obviously, I said this in German.
It was perfect dictation and pronunciation. Yeah, it was gorgeous. Hi, Mel.
Hi, Bri.
How are you doing in this current moment in time?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited to be on this podcast. I listen to literally every single episode. And it's been so nice listening to other artists speak, especially because I'm not surrounded currently by a lot of artists. So having that connection to your podcast and listening to other dancers and stuff has been really nice for me, especially because like I feel like I'm part of the conversation. I'm like talking back to my phone like as I'm listening. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like, it's great.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. Like I truly appreciate that. I feel like all of the editing I do and stuff like is really worthwhile when I know that people are tuning in. So thank you, and thank you for being here. Finally.
Finally.
It's been like a lot of scheduling problems, but I'm so happy. And I mean, you're not here, you're in Germany.
I'm in Regensburg, Germany. Yes. Wow. Southern Germany. I'm quite close to the Austrian border.
Okay.
Hopefully when Corona clears up, I'll be able to travel a bit more. But now I'm just here. I mean, it's beautiful here, so I'm not complaining. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredible. It really looks like a German town, like the classic German, like old school town. Like it's incredible. Yeah.
Do you eat a lot of waffles?
No. I eat a lot of deli meat. That is a big thing. That's like the breakfast here is like bread and deli and like cheese bread. It's so, yeah.
For breakfast.
Like,
oh my goodness.
Breakfast. Yeah. It's like deli meat. Strange.
You know, I'm thinking of Belgian waffles, aren't I? Which is different. Yes. Sorry, it's still early for me. Okay, wow. So deli and bread and cheese. Okay. Yeah. Do you like enjoy that kind of meal for, you know?
I don't mind it. I've really sort of try to embrace the culture as much as I can here, and
Cool.
whatever they're like, this is what we do. I'm like, all right, I guess that's what I'm doing too. Like, so
And you've been
no dryers, no, like I got to hang all my clothes up. Now I understand what clothes hangers mean. Like I actually get it now.
And you've been there since August, right?
Yes, since
So
August.
a couple
So,
months.
yes, almost 4 months now.
You feel like you've adjusted a bit more, I guess.
Finally starting to settle in. I
Yeah.
was talking to a few friends when I first arrived here, and I was like, I don't feel settled. I don't feel settled. And I kept on saying that to them.
Mhm.
And my one friend, Frances Sampson,
love.
she's amazing.
Yes.
She was like, honestly, I didn't feel totally settled in New York until a year in.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, a big thing for me is the fact that when I'm grocery shopping, when I'm going to the stores, when I'm anything like that, like there's a different language being spoken. So that's been a really big thing for me to not totally feel settled because I can't fully communicate what I have to say, even in those small interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been like my biggest thing. And that's
there's a barrier.
That's why I'm in the school.
Yeah. You've been messaging me in German, which is so cool and so inspiring.
I've been trying. I try and message my friends now. I'll like send one message in German and then the message in English after, and they don't know what I'm saying, and I'm like, that grammar is like not so good, but they don't know, so it's okay. But
I had no idea.
Is pretty whack. So
it's definitely one of the hardest languages to learn.
Yes, I saw a quote that says, you can learn English in 30 hours, French in 30 days, and German in 30 years. And I was like, great, I picked a good language. Good.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I feel like so it's really going to be a long journey, but like good for you for taking on that challenge. And like you said, like there is a barrier for language and translation, but I wonder maybe if there's sort of like a universal, is there any kind of like gestures that feel kind of familiar to you?
For me, it's been really incredible, especially like as a dancer, because I've had to resort to body language and facial expression and really watching how they say something to me or their movements in trying to explain something to me. And even I have had to use my body and my face so much more to be able to communicate what I have to say. Wow. So it's been really great for me as like an artist to try and figure out what like the context of what they're saying from the few words that I know, and just through the way that they're sitting, the way that they use their hands, the way that they're making their facial expressions to like pick pieces. And I think that's been super interesting for me, like in terms of research as a choreographer. And
cool. Yeah. Very like real life situations of miscommunication, I guess. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, people have to wear masks though, still?
Yes, everyone, even outside now in like the town and stuff like that, like most outside areas in the parking lots and everything, you also have to wear a mask. Yeah.
So that's another, half the face covering.
Exactly.
I've been finding that really tough. Like just because we're so expressive and want to be expressive, I feel like, and not having half my face to do that is so like discouraging. And I don't know.
I'm like, I'm smiling through the mask, I swear.
Please believe me, I'm a nice person.
My accent is so strong. So even when I'm speaking the language or I know some of the basic phrases that I have to say, they're still like, what? Like I'm like trying to be so articulate with my words because my accent is very strong still. So
as a Canadian, yeah. Yes. That's so interesting. I feel like I don't know much about the like German artistic scene besides like from school. I'm thinking about like it being very absurdist, the theater there. I don't know, like what's your insights or like new perspectives that you found?
What I've found, and from the artists that I've met here already, it's quite theatrical.
Cool.
I would say like most companies are very much based not just in dance, but in dramaturgy and theatrical production. I think that most of the companies that I've come across here, even when I'm reading online, everything has some sort of theater aspect in it. So that was
So
like
juicy.
A perfect fit for me as well. I've always been interested in that. If anyone knows my work, like it's pretty theatrical, I would say, but they're even more than me. So I felt really like this was overall, in terms of dance, in terms of choreography, and just way of life, this was the right move for me.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like we've had many conversations about the theatrical side of dance and sort of like dance theater, physical theater. And we're sort of alike in that way. Like that's where our interests lie. And yeah, I wonder if there's, a need for that right now. Like I certainly feel like there's a lack of it, especially with performing. Like there's less performance going on, but just like knowing that dance or movement doesn't have to be so sophisticated. It can kind of be also entertaining, or it can be kind of this mixture of emotions, maybe, is that what I'm trying to say? Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be so studious. I don't know.
Yes, I was having a conversation with Max, and we were talking about how I'm very much among non-artists right now. And so I've been thinking of a lot of ways in which my art and the things that I do could also engage them.
Okay, yeah.
And what they do is they look at it, they label it as weird, and they walk away from it. And I find that theater and other work and that sort of genre can, in my opinion, can help sort of bring them in and understand in a more, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Like not so cautious or hesitant to be involved.
Yes, even just using words, even just using your voice and speaking. And I think that really helps them understand a little bit like what's going on. And so I've been researching that and showing all of my friends here and everything, like dances and what do you think of this? And what does this say to you? And I've even been thinking of busking in the streets because that's like a really big thing here.
Cool.
And I think like next spring and summer, I'm definitely going to do that more as research, really, to see who stops with. I'm going to try different sorts of music or different types of dance and see what makes the biggest stop, I think. So my next little like project I think I'm going to do. Plus busking is like super big here. So it's not like it'll be strange. It's quite normal. There's a bridge, a famous bridge here called the Steinerne Brücke. And there's always musicians and artists of some sort on the bridge during the summertime, and it draws quite a large crowd. So I'm really hoping that I can do some busking there and see just sort of as research.
Yeah. I mean, it's really the only way I feel like we're going to be getting performance opportunity, even if it's in a very informal.
I'll make the bridge my stage.
Yes, you could do it anywhere, right? Like the dancing anywhere, the research anywhere. It and maybe outside will be more like, I don't know, more absorbent, or you'll just meet different kinds of people right away so quick, and then they go and whatever. Like I feel like that's the perfect place to do research, is outside.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm excited once this lockdown is over and done with. Yeah.
I know. I wonder if you'd have to wear a mask, I guess, right? You said outside that you have to wear one.
Yeah. On the like busy places, for example, like the bridge, I would have to wear a mask just because it's quite a famous bridge and everyone from the town is always in this area. So
That's cool that you've been talking to non-artists too, like getting a sense of, why we need art as humans, not just as artists, like the escapism of it, or like the need for it right now. I admire that. I think a lot of artists maybe will only turn to their community of artists instead of, strangers or the general public. I don't know. I mean, I'm just generalizing here, I guess, but
Been very
talking to,
interested
yeah,
in
like I wonder what they would say.
and bringing them into the theater world and trying to figure out a way that they don't, again, label it as weird and walk away from it. And they really, what brings them in, what draws them in. I've been in my German school 4 hours a week, Monday to Friday. And I've met some incredible people from all walks of life, all different ages, from all over the world. And what draws us together is that learning this incredibly difficult language. And also just this need to start again in a new country and in a new place. My man in the class named Abdul, he's from Nigeria. He's been teaching me a lot about patience.
Wow.
And like, because when I first got here, I was speaking to him and I was saying, and I just want to get a job, and I just want to feel settled in. And
yeah.
like, you're here, and all you need to do is focus on this. And he was saying how happy he is to be here with his family, and he'll work and do anything. And he said, give yourself a break. I mean, you're starting again. You really are starting again in a place that you don't know, with a language that you don't know. And it takes time, and it takes a lot of patience to be able to persevere through that. And it was, I mean, there's been so many incredible people that I've met who have really taught me so many different things about even just being a foreigner in a country. I mean, it's been so incredible to hear their stories and how they got to Germany and what fuels them to be here and learn the language. I mean, there's a woman from Bulgaria, and her kids are going to school here. And so they're coming home and speaking to her in German, and she does not understand her own children. Wow. Right. And so she has this very fiery drive to learn the language and be able to properly communicate with her children and understand like what, yeah. So wow. It's absolutely incredible, the people that I've met in my class. And I think we're obviously all non-Germans. So I think to a certain extent, all of us have felt at some point during our time here as an outsider. So it's sort of like all of these outsiders have come together. And so it's this magical thing. I think that everyone's so loving and so caring and so just happy to be there. I mean, there's this one girl, and she just texted our WhatsApp group, and she was like, bring a plate and a fork. And everyone was like, what? Oh. Like, what? And she brought like a big rice dish, like a classic rice dish from Syria. And another girl from my class brought this like chocolatey Brazilian dessert because she's from Brazil. And like, we just had this like amazing potluck lunch. And I said, why are you doing this? This is so incredible. It's so nice. Obviously, I said this in German.
And it was perfect dictation and perfect pronunciation. Yeah, it was gorgeous.
And they just said, like, because we care about this class, and this is the highlight of our day every day.
Wow.
And I mean, it's the highlight of my day too. It's what I'm doing all the time. And just being able to meet these people and listen to their stories about where they've come from. There's this one man from Costa Rica, and he used to be a drug smuggler because there was no jobs available in Costa Rica. And there was not much opportunity for him. And he would talk about how on his times like that he would be transferring the drugs, he would walk on the beaches and see how much the planet is being destroyed, the oceans and all that sort of stuff. So he saw that on a daily basis, and he joined an environmental group where he met his German wife. So that's why he's here. And so now he's a gardener and learning the language, and he was able to pull himself out of that cycle of, not the greatest workplace, and really start again. And it's just so incredible to hear these people's stories and where they've come from, and how we're all in the same class group now. And quite incredible.
It's kind of a clear example of, how globalized this problem is, or this issue that we're dealing with. And, we don't have to go too political here, but like just the idea that we all are starting again, going into this new year, this new life, this new society that we're dealing with. Like, how do you come to the table? Do you bring your past self and all of that baggage and go forwards, or do you completely erase and kind of, and also in your artistic practice, like, is that also a past thing, or can it be so future and so like geared towards the progression of the artistic scene? It's so scary. I feel like it's so kind of nerve-wracking, but also inspiring and engaging, and I'm ready.
It's exciting. It's so exciting for me to live and start again and be a human being and meet other people that can inspire my work, inspire my art, and hear their stories and how different they are from mine. I feel like I went to an arts high school. I went to an arts university program. And so we have a lot of the people that I've met, and a lot of my friends have come from a similar walk of life that I have.
Same.
And so meeting these people that have just totally different lives than me has inspired me so much as a creator. And it's super exciting. I have so many ideas in my head, and I just want to get into my master's program so I can do that. And put it all on stage. And I feel like right now I'm in the stage of my life of I'm living the story, and I just can't wait to tell it one day.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, like we are living through the history that will be told. Yeah. Wow.
And I just can't wait to tell that story. I mean, as artists, the whole reason at least the reason I do what I do is we document history, right? In a lot of ways. And so
the moment in time,
this time is really, it's obviously extremely difficult in a lot of ways, but I think that by putting this into our art, we are documenting the human experience of this pandemic. And I think it's exciting. I mean, obviously, it's just, I'm trying to look at the positive viewpoint of this sort of difficult time.
Yeah. You have to.
Yeah. And I think as artists, our role in this time is extremely important.
Yes, same here. To be able to, like you say, document that moment in time, or those feelings that are so overwhelming and so confusing, but real. Like, every single person in the world has gone through something so real and so life-changing. Yeah, I think you're right. The artist is still alive. The artist's role is still vital.
I think it's even more vital at this point. And I mean, we're losing a lot of opportunity, and a lot of theaters have shut down and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's forced so many dancers to reflect and to look at their lives and to experience what's happening. And I think that pushing forward, there's going to be a lot of incredible work being created.
Yeah, so, me too. We just need to get it done in whatever way that has to be. And safely, of course. But yeah. And so you talked to me about all of these ideas that you have, and you want to go into a master's program in choreography. That's very, very cool. And And, it has your, all of these ideas, have you been able to document them in some way, or are they still kind of living up in your head?
I usually write them down.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Getting
really,
them out.
yes, I believe in this sort of like manifestation of things. And
Mm.
so I feel like when I write it down on my paper, and when I created my work for Springworks almost 2 years ago,
Yes.
yeah, which is crazy to me.
Oh,
But creating the work, I wrote everything down. Like if I saw it in my head, I wrote it down, and everything that I put down on that paper, like it came to life for me. And so I've continued to do that. And I think that I have this like book where I just write all my ideas down. And I want to create as much of them as possible. And
mhm.
I've had just so many experiences here. Like there was one day I was sitting in a cafe, and like the perfect music was playing, and like
Uh-huh.
there's people speaking German all around me. And there was this old, like the the cook was an older woman who she came out, she took her order, and then she would go back in the kitchen, she'd cook it and bring it out. Like it was literally one woman show.
Wow.
Like it was incredible. And I was just sitting there like so inspired, and I was like, everything is perfect. I was taking pictures because like, this is the set, this is music, this is everything.
Yeah.
Like the couple in the corner is like, I know the duet already. And it was just like, it was so exciting. And like again, like I was with my partner and his family, and they're just sort of living their life, and this is, I think, a little bit more normal for them. But for me, I was just like they're like, Melanie, like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I'm just like, don't talk to me right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like taking it all in. Like,
You're caught in like that surge of inspiration that you just like need
right.
to document or need to get out. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. And so I've had a lot of experiences like that. I think also like being in a new place has been like a surge of new inspiration, and I see things differently because I'm not used to it.
Oh yeah. That'll totally like mess up your brain waves in a good way,
Yeah.
a different way. Wow. Cool. Yeah. Getting it on paper, I feel like is definitely something I'm trying to do too. Like, cause I know that I'm going to forget all of these ideas,
Yes.
cause I'm not in a process or I'm not doing anything. So I got to put it down and save it for later whenever we can get back to things. Yeah. I mean, well, you also were working on something with Maxim, who's been on the podcast, over FaceTime. Like,
Yes.
I'm curious to know how you adapted, making a film when you can't be in the same country as your
Yes.
partner. Like tell me more about that, how that adapting went.
So we just had a few FaceTime calls, creating sort of the idea. We had a lot of just like conversation about what was going on in the world, the societal climate, just sort of how we were dealing with these times. And we came to a video idea. And so I just went under the famous bridge that I spoke about earlier.
Oh,
And
okay.
I went, and like it was such a like makeshift video. And I brought like a stool and two shoe boxes, and then put my like little tripod on top because it's like a short one. It's not anything fancy. And then I just FaceTimed him because I mean, in Europe, the phone plans are extremely cheap, and we have like a lot of data.
Oh, nice.
So my phone plan is like 20 euros, and I have like, I don't know, 15 gigs of data or something like
Wonderful.
that. So I had tons of data in order to FaceTime him. So I pretty much FaceTimed him outside and set up the camera. And he was like, all right, a little to the left, a little to the right, like doing like all of the like moving the camera around. And then like I did sort of a dance with him on the FaceTime, and he was saying, okay, this way, or this works well. And we marked everything out and spiked everything. And then he just hung up with me and said, all right, now dance and record. And yeah, and then I just sent him the footage afterward, and
so it worked. It was successful. Yeah.
And it was, I think that we created a really cool video, and I'm excited to share it. And
Yeah, when will that be? I'm curious.
I'm not totally sure yet.
No
We've
worries.
submitted it to a couple festivals.
Oh.
So if it gets into one of those, like, we don't want to share it too early, because I don't think, like, I think we should premiere it at the festival if it is successful.
Absolutely.
But either way, like, we will eventually share it, and I'm really excited to say that it was a cross borders, like, in complete isolation project, and like making that work. And yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you have to, like, and Maxim, I feel like, is so good about kind of improving things and like being okay with the not so structured. Great. Yeah, he's great with that stuff.
So great with that, and like trying to make it work. And like, I'd call him back and be like, okay, the camera moved, like, you have to do it again, like, you have to like reposition me. And it was cold outside, but we made it work. Like, we made it work. So it was
Did you have anyone like passing you as you were dancing in the bridge?
When we were on FaceTime, there was a lot of people looking at me, because there was like this random voice and like me just talking to this camera, and like it was so like strange. But I was in a space where like I was in front of like it was under the bridge, so it was like a brick wall.
Okay.
And so I think that like when I was dancing and stuff, people like just sort of went around me, and Germans are quite good about that, I think.
Oh, nice. So, nice.
They're quite respectful. They stay very far away, you know. So.
That's good. Good during this time. Yeah, I was doing a film this summer, and like every time we tried to record, it would just like people and birds and bicycles and everyone passing behind me. I'm thinking, well, you know, maybe that's a part of it. Like, it doesn't just have to be me on the screen, you know, like it kind of represents the setting of the environment that I'm in, maybe. But
I've been doing a lot of recordings for my work, like for future choreographic projects. And so I was on the bridge, and there was a busker there playing piano, and it was so incredible. And so I just started recording, and you could sort of just hear people passing and stuff. And then this couple asked me to take a photo of them. And like, it's really funny, because their recording is like me trying to speak German to them, but like not so well. And like, I was like, first I thought, oh my God, this is sort of destroying my recording. Like, I'm like, I just want to listen to the music. And I listened to it back, and I was like, this is really actually quite incredible. Like, just like listening to like life, you know, and people talking around me. And it was, and then I sort of like let that go. And I've been doing a lot of that, just trying to let things go. And
same.
Yes, it's a really big topic of the time, for sure. So like, by doing that, it led me into a even cooler recording, and it was like so great. I also record a lot of the church bells. There's church bells every hour, all the time, in Germany, like across Germany, they're everywhere.
Okay.
So I like been recording that a lot as well, and it's like, it's quite a beautiful thing that I'm very not used to. I think sometimes it can get frustrating at times, but most of the time, like, maybe just because I'm not used to it yet, like, it's quite beautiful to hear these church bells. And I've always sort of been interested in that. I did a project in first year, actually, where my soundtrack was church bells. So when I got here, I was just like, oh, this is my place. I know
meant it. To be. So meant to be. Wow. That's so inspiring. Like, I feel like you're such a great example of an artist who kind of just goes for it and makes their own work happen, like whatever that has to be. I'm even thinking of when we did the works in progress showing in February, like you set that up, you organized that, like you and like, I'm sure like only a small team of other people, like that I feel like needs to happen more in our community. And I really appreciate that you did that too, so I could show my work and be a part of works. And I
honestly, when I first started the Works in Progress event, like I was just sitting in my house and I just had this idea and I'm like, oh, I don't know. That's kind of like, you second guess yourself a lot, right? I'm like, I don't know if anybody's going to be like interested in this, but I'm just going to feel it out. And a good friend of mine, I told him the idea and he was like, just do it. Just do it. I'm like, oh, but
Get it done, yeah.
And it's like, no, just do it. And I was like, okay. So I knew I was talking to my friends for a while, just having friendly conversations, and everyone was like, I have this idea and I want to show this, and I need footage for a festival and I don't have a space to present it, and like
that
all
comes
sorts
up
of
so
stuff.
much.
Like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna rent out dance makers for a couple hours. I asked my friends who expressed interest in wanting to create work. I asked them if they wanted to present something, and I really didn't think it was going to be what it was. Like, I was honestly expecting like 5 people to show up. Like, I was in my sweatpants. Like, I literally had to put on Caitlin's boots because I was like, oh my God, more people are coming and like, I'm not ready for this.
It
and
was
now
a great turnout.
It was a great turnout. I just like, more and more people started walking through the door, and like, because I didn't know who was coming because it was a free event. So just more and more people were walking in, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I gotta like figure this out. I gotta make myself look nice. Now I have to talk about this event in front of like 70 people. Whereas like, I thought I was just gonna be like chilling, sitting on the floor, talking to a few people, being like, hey, just like respond to our work if you want. And then I ended up like giving this whole speech to this fully packed audience. Like, people were sitting on the steps, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I didn't expect this at all. And
it was great.
It was such a big realization for me that the Toronto community needed more of that sort of event where people could just share their work and have feedback as well. Like, that was a big part of it for me, to be able to hear from other artists in the community and people coming and just telling me what they thought, and are also the other choreographers, so that I could get a sense of where I could go next. And I could take their ideas with a grain of salt or not, and just continue working. And I think like that was the big thing for me. And I had a couple choreographers message me after saying, you know, the piece that I was working on, it got into this festival, or like, you know, it did this. Wow. And it's so rewarding for me to be like, wow, like, I'm so glad that they were able to, this event gave them a deadline and a way to show their work and actually put it out there. Again, I hear so many artists saying, I have this idea and I don't have anything.
Nowhere to put it. Yeah.
I'm just like, well, we might as well just all put it on together. And I just like makeshift the lights. Like, I just took lights from my basement and just set it up and said, okay, come.
Low budget, but like so needed and so like worth the work, I think. And it didn't have to be, you know, paid. It could be totally free and accessible. And look at that. People came and wanted to give their feedback. And for me too, like as one of the choreographers with my friend Dave, like we went through all the feedback that we received and really like acknowledged that this could be helpful and you know, so grateful just to have that. Again, it's that research. It's the like, let's put something on, but we need help from the public to decide what that actually is.
Right. And I think that it was a big realization for me in my career, just coming out of school, that my ideas are good. And, you know, if I just talk about just an event or like, just do it.
Yes.
And I think anyone listening to this podcast, like, if you have an idea, even if it fails, like, it's worth it. And I didn't have any expectation to curate this event. I just felt like there was a need, and I just wanted my friends to watch my work really and tell me what they thought. That's really what I wanted. And it turned out being like one of the most proud things that I've ever like done. Really, I was so proud of myself that night, and I was proud of my friends, and like we all had created such incredible work. There was so much talent in the room, and everyone brought this like great piece that like, you know, we're too young or whatever. We don't have funding from any arts council,
Nope.
like none of that. But I was
No.
like, no, but this is like, there's some talent in this room, and like people need to see the next generation of choreographers because like they have some things to say.
And it happened just before the pandemic too. So we like February, like we just had an opportunity.
In February, like it was so close. It was just 3 weeks or something before everything hit. I was so glad that even after the event, I mean, people were coming up to me being like, when can I apply for this? I'm like, apply? Oh. I just invited my friends. What do you mean? You want to apply to like present your work? Like what's going on?
Let's get a submission, opportunity going on here. Let's do this again. Yeah.
And so I did consider doing something online and through the pandemic, but I think that most of the magic, I think, of this event is the in-person aspect, and really watching the piece right away and getting your first initial thoughts from that audience member on paper. And so I'm gonna come back and curate another one 100% once things have lightened up, hopefully. And yeah, I'm like so prepared to do that. And I really want to open it up to as many choreographers as possible that want to show something. And but I'm definitely going to continue that event. And maybe in the future, once I've created a network here in Germany, I'd hope to start it here as well. And I think it's just a great way to keep developing work, which I think is so incredibly important. Yeah.
So incredibly important. And I want to come visit, and I'll be in the audience, like if I can, once we can open up the travel and that would be so cool just to see, again, like what the new crop of choreographers in where you are, like, what it's different. It'll be completely its own thing, very one of a kind, but someone has to do it, like, or else these ideas don't get done,
Right. And even just like things as simple as like getting footage of your work so that you can apply to other festivals and to continue researching it. So I wanted to give other choreographers a platform just to be able to video their work, really, and to have it in some sort of on some sort of stage, and to really be able to document their work so that they can actually submit it and continue to work on it.
Right. Yeah. It has to become something concrete, or else no one gets to see it. Yeah. Yeah. I'll do want to also ask you a little bit about like, because you sent me that video from Film Courage with Dr. Ken Achiti about like the loneliness of an artist, and kind of how that is an important aspect of the process of creating, to be alone, to be sort of in isolation. And I don't know, I guess I don't really have a question. I'm just wondering like what your thoughts are as well on that, like being alone.
I really connected to that video specifically during this time because I've been away from my family and all of my close friends. And so I've met really incredible people in my program, and I've met some friends, and I'm also living with my partner. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm really alone. I am. And it's a sad but incredibly beautiful thing for my work right now in this time. I think like at the end of the day, I have myself.
Yes.
In this new space. And it's been really difficult. But I've seen in myself how much it's affected the way that I see life in general, which in turn like really affects my work and what I've been creating. And I also love writing, so what I've been writing, and feeling that loneliness, even when, I mean, I don't know the language, and I really do feel like an outsider here. And so it's been really helpful actually with my work. And I stopped caring about anything anymore. I used to be afraid, and maybe some other dancers, I've had a couple people message me about it too, have been afraid to post dance videos online. I've been very afraid to do that for a long time. And when I got here, I started posting dance videos of myself, and I felt this distance. And so I felt like I was capable, and I felt like I was starting anew, and I could really present. I just wasn't scared anymore. And I think that came with this loneliness, and I lost important people in my life, and I had moved away from everyone as well. And so
that's really enough to completely like isolate you and make you feel like you've, gone away as a vacation or like.
Right. And also I think even once it hit, I don't know, 2.5 months, 3 months, it was like, oh, I'm not going home.
Right.
This is vacation, especially when the weather changed from summer. I came in the summer, everything was new and fresh, and oh yeah. And then it was like, okay, it started to get colder, and my partner started to get busier. He's in school and everything. And so I really was alone, and not all my friends really agreed with my move necessarily. And so I lost people in my life that were important to me. And so I think that feeling that sort of, I was in a new country. I didn't know what anyone was saying around me, and I didn't, but it made me bloom, and it made me really look at who I was as a person, and who do I want to be, and who am I now, and how can I create through this. Yeah.
The only way is through, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And through my art, really. I turned in for me, a difficult time in my life, I turned to art. And I think that just like, it saved me. I mean, and I think so many artists can like relate to that, but it's just like, I need to dance because I have to create. I have to, because at the end of the day, like, I only have myself here.
Yeah.
I really do. And I can FaceTime my friends all I want, and I can, you know what I mean? But when I go to sleep at night, it is me and only me. And yeah. And I just like, I've learned to be my own best friend.
Beautiful.
And then I think I can meet people now, and because I'm very sure about who I am as a person, and the work I like and the work I want to create, and my stance on all different types of topics in life, I think that I can come to people with a more solid view. I think before, a lot of the time, I would adapt to what other people told me and their perspectives, and I was scared to say what I felt. Because one, I was scared, and two, I didn't know. I didn't totally know. Right. And I've had so much time now to really sit with, what do I feel? What is my perspective on this? And I mean, there's no one to agree with me, and there's no one to disagree with me. And it's like, I'm myself, and I agree with me, and that's who I am, and that's the work that I'm going to put out. And yeah.
Your little island, isn't so little. It's so layered, and it has so much life experience, and but it's your island and you get to choose what to do with it. And yeah, wow. Forgive my silence. I'm just so, you know, I'm so inspired by that. It's beautiful. And thank you for, you know, revealing that to me.
Yeah, it's been, it's, no one tells you how lonely you will be when you move like this. You know, everyone's like, it's so exciting and you're moving to another country, and I get messages all the time like, you're in Germany and like, this is incredible. And it's like, but I'm alone.
Yeah.
It's been like it's been the thing that I needed, and it's honestly one of the best things that it's ever happened to me is to know who I am, to figure it out on my own.
Wow. Yeah. Same. All of that and more. Yeah. I don't even know how to end this. I'm just feeling so inspired, and I really, really appreciate all of your time to sit with me, and we could finally do this, and for just being you. Thanks for being you.
Thank you for having me on this show, and it's been so great to sort of talk to someone really honest, like Same. Talk about art, and like really, like I've had so many ideas in my head, and so to be able to speak them and tell someone really in depth what my experience is like here, not through social media and not through anything else, but to really sit down and be like, yeah, there's so many great parts. There's also a lot of struggle. And,
this is where I am, and this is the good and the bad and the ugly, and it's all worth telling.
Yeah, and it's all worth it for the art. And I think that no matter where someone is in their life, like it will inspire in some way. I hope that someone can connect to my story. And again, like if you're starting again, it takes patience, as I learned from Abdul. It takes so much patience, which I didn't have much of before. And I've been forced to learn that.
I got to get Abdul on this podcast.
Yes, you do.
He sounds very wise.
So incredible.
Shout out to Abdul. Oh, thanks, Mel. I do want to give you, we're almost at time, but I do want to give you a chance to plug anything. I know you've got this film with Maxim, and anything else that you have going on, please, the mic is yours.
Watch me in Germany next summer as I busk around.
Yeah.
I'm currently working on my own film. I'm just directing, choreographing, filming all myself. It's been a process. I've done like the stills. I've drawn everything out, but I haven't been able to film anything yet. It's difficult trying to do it all. This lonely artist thing. I'm like trying to figure it out and be the star in my own video and direct and whatever. But I'm working on that. And we'll see how that goes and where it takes me. And until then, I will be in German courses for 4 hours every day. Ich spreche bisschen Deutsch. Bisschen. Just a little bit. So,
correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Dankeschön? That's how you say thank you?
Dankeschön.
Dankeschön. Well, Dankeschön. Very, very much.
Yeah, vielen Dank is thank you very much. Like with much. Vielen Dank.
Vielen Dank. Thank you. I'll stop the recording, but we can keep chatting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the Art Versations podcast. If you like what you heard, the best way to help the podcast is to subscribe or follow on your preferred podcast platform and leave a review. As well, follow the podcast on Instagram at artversationspod. You'll find photos of each of my guests so you can match a voice to a face and highlight clips from each episode. Let's keep the conversation going. Send in a DM with your own thoughts about art, as well as any questions you think I should ask my guests. The podcast community continues to grow, and that is all because of you, listener. All bodies are dancer bodies, and all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. Till next time.
My name is Broadway Classic.
Let's hear it.